Right. Thank you, Omar, for joining me. I met you in Clubhouse and I was so impressed with your wealth of knowledge on business. And I know that you work for a small financial firm that specializes in debt funding and private equity funding services for high net worth segment of the market. And I know that you guys fund an institutional lending, property development finance, and bridge lending, right? You fund a lot of projects for people, and I know that you fund a couple of projects on Clubhouse as well. So welcome again, and I want to know why you decided to join the lending market.
Thank you, Aisha. And yes, we fund many different projects. Like to keep it as streamlined as possible. You know, they say sell sell many different things in many different ways instead of one thing in many ways. So that's what I try to do. Um, for me, it was really, I fell into it by accident. To be honest with you, um, my background was construction and development, numbers, finance. But then I actually pivoted from that and set up my own social media business. So that's really what I wanted to do for my 9 to 5. When I left my 9 to 5, sorry, and I didn't know that I was going to end up in finance. It was only really I actually acquired a client who was in finance, and they were working for the bank that I'm now partnered with. So I have my own business, and we're associates of the bank. So essentially we're an extension of them, um, and we work exclusively with them. And for me, it was really about just the opportunity. I mean, some of the numbers that we're working with is obviously extremely enticing, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy working with people, and some of the spaces, and this isn't egotistic, some of the rooms that I share with people in real life, I never thought in my entrepreneurial career I'd be sitting across the room from billionaires, and people that are like creating regeneration projects to like boost environmental growth, and has in ex-convicts and stuff like that. So it was good to be a part of this new space, and obviously the money was there. So that was the main reason I pivoted into it, but it was an accident. I didn't mean to.
So what did you do after you joined before you joined the lending market? What was your first job?
Wow. My first real job, my first actual job was paper round on a Sunday. I was 13 years old. I had to be up at 5:30 in the morning to deliver these papers for people every Sunday, and I only got £5. So for me at 13, that weren't really enough. I couldn't even go out on the weekend with £5, but I still done it. My first real job was on a Saturday Sunday job, and I was cleaning tables. So people would come in, they would eat. It was on the end of a pier, down in Boscombe, if anyone knows, in the UK. Beautiful beaches around the south coast. And I used to ride my bike an hour and a half from my house Saturday morning, back home, and I'd go there, and I'd literally be waiting around, wiping people's tables after they'd finished eating. And I didn't like it, to be honest with you. No one wants to wait, and that's not discrediting no one that does do that. But for me, it wasn't for me. It was, I wanted to be the person that owned the business, and that was the mindset that I had at 15 years old. But you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the mindset is always the first thing that you have to go to. If you don't have the mindset to be in business, you will always you subject yourself to failure, and the failure will overcome you. How much failure have you had to sustain while starting your business?
Oh, good question. I fail all of the time, every day. You know, but the more you get experience in doing that and realize that it's a normal thing, then the more you kind of get okay with it, and it doesn't really mean nothing. But at the start, it's massive because it just ruins you. Like, the first ever business I tried to set up was a drop shipping business, right? And this was drop shipping is booming now, but this was before anyone even knew about it, right? This was when AliExpress just came out, Alibaba, all of those, Chinese import companies. all of the Obelo apps where you could import everything without doing nothing. It literally just come about. Um, and I spent probably 2 months, right? And I never knew what I was doing. I was importing every single thing that I could make money on, not being niche specific or try. I was just trying to sell to everyone, just trying to sell absolutely everything. And I spent 3, 4 months on it, didn't get no sales, and I just gave up completely. And that was every night. I spent hours on it, and then I see other people doing it again a few months later. So I was like, right, no, I'll do it again, and I failed again. And then I just gave up. I literally gave up. I went back to my 9 to 5 job, carried on doing that for a few years. Then I set up my social media business, and I failed at that. I literally called probably 100 people in 2 days. Every single one was a no, because one, I never knew what the hell I was talking about, and two, um, I had no experience in being a social media expert, and I just was saying that I had, but I hadn't. And yeah, like it really affected me. And for the fact is, when you're doing stuff like that, right, you get excited, yeah. So you tell people around you what you're doing, and that's just human nature. Whether that's your girlfriend, whether it's your friends, and the minute you start doing that and not delivering results, that's it. That's just going to add to it even more. And then on top of you failing, you've then got a bunch of people telling you can't do it, right? And then you start going within yourself, and it's hard. It is really really hard. Um, I've failed in other things as well. Failed relationships, failed jobs. I scraped by the skin of my teeth in school with all of my grades. I was forecasted to be an A grade student. I scraped through with C's and B's. And I could have done a lot better. I never revised. I never done anything. I literally just scraped through. But that's because I didn't really know what my purpose was, and that's why I reached all them failures. And I never really amounted to anything through those failures, and I just gave up every time because I never really had a foundation of what I was doing it for, and what I wanted to do. Um, so yeah, that's kind of on the failures.
Yeah, I know a lot about failure because, I have failed too. I've failed a lot of times in my life. And I know that for you, if you are trying to chase a dream, you have to accept that you're going to fail and you have to be able to persevere and push through all of it. And I know that there will come moments where you're going to doubt yourself. And you mentioning that, you had people around you, especially family, that were doubting your ability to achieve your dreams. That adds to the fact that you're failing. So when you fail, you don't have the courage to stand back up. So I guess, what did you learn from your failures?
Yeah, and just on them failures, right? Like, just to give you an example, like my previous career before I set up my own business, I was doing well. I was, with what most people say and what their basic salary is, I was on 65, 70K a year. That's what my salary was. So I was taking home after tax, 3.5, 4K a month, which was, and at the age of 23, that was more than what any of my family members were on. So on top of that, it was absolutely ludicrous for me to go and leave that to go set up something for myself. Um, and trust me, I borrowed money, right? I borrowed money off my nan and granddad. They massively helped me because I was working at this for months and I was just not doing the right thing. I had loads of money saved up and I just burnt it all. I wasn't really focused. I didn't make the right sacrifices. I was still going at, I was literally the person that reads the law of attraction and is just sitting there waiting for everything to happen. Like, I was not putting action in. And there were times where, honestly, I'll get into it a little bit later on with things that I've struggled with depression and addiction and stuff like that. But I always believed that when I was doing it, in the midst of it, once I sat down and looked within myself, that I was going to do it. And I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if it's not working, and I don't care if it hasn't worked for the last 6 months. I'm going to do it regardless. Because I am not happy going to work for someone else 9 to 5. Like, for me, I feel like I'm dying. I feel like I'm looking around. I'm looking out the window every single day, just not even here, thinking, is this my life? I've got to have something greater than this. Um, So that's what got me through my failures. And what I learned from them most of all was, developing yourself. I spent so much time trying to learn what I was doing, and so tunnel visioned on, like for example, when I was on the social media, just learning about ads, learning about this, but I forgot about myself. I didn't work on myself. And what I mean by that is, I just I took my TV away, right? I took a gaming console away. I stopped going out with my friends. I stopped having a life. I literally just dedicated, like the Dwayne Johnson technique, you sleep when you're dead sort of thing. But that didn't work for me. So I would literally just spend the whole day doing nothing like that, and then I would get up at silly times. I wouldn't get up at the right time. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't sitting down and actually reviewing my goals. I was just trying to learn and trying to do one thing all of the time, and I forgot about developing myself. And developing yourself is the most important thing, because you will never, ever, ever get to where you need to be until your personal development is where your business needs to be. That needs to be completely on par. You know, you need to see yourself already playing out. Sorry, you need to become the person that you want your business to be in 10 years' time now. That's how you expedite growth. And that's in the way that you treat people, in the way that you speak, in the way that you connect to people, the way that small things, the way that you clean your room, the way that you brush your teeth, the way that you clean up after yourself, the way you carry yourself with pride. Every single thing matters when it's to do with yourself. And that's the biggest thing that I learned through my failures, is developing myself more.
Wow, amazing, amazing. It's you have to be able to relate with people. You have to be able to be yourself as well while you're growing and you're growing your business, which is very, very tough, because you have to have this kind of split personality where you're trying to grow outside while projecting what's inside, or while projecting your personality. You mentioned something about depression. At what moment in time did you have to go through depression, and how did you get out of it?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Like when you're younger, you're very selfish to this sort of thing of depression, right? There's a lot of people in my family that have suffered with depression, and you just look at them as, oh, just get yourself together, like, and you don't really, man up. Oh, your life isn't that bad. You've got this, you've got this, you've got this, right? But that's external, right? And until I feel like until you actually experience that stuff yourself, you can then take a proper view on it. And for me, on the outside, I probably looked like I had it all figured out, right? But on the inside, I was just dying, and I didn't even know that I suffered with depression until obviously I was getting thoughts that I just didn't want to live anymore. You know, I just I failed so many times. I was in such self pity mode where I would think of all of the times where I could have been a success and I could have done better, with regards to looking at how I look at it now, which is, you are where you are no matter what's happened. It doesn't matter how you got here, you're here, right? So you need to deal with what you've got now. There's no point looking at before, because it's yesterday. It doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was massively addicted to drugs. I mean, it's very hard to come on here and to talk about. Everyone can sit in here and tell you all the motivational speeches, but no one really wants to sit here and tell you about how they really feel, right? Especially when you're men with mental health and everything nowadays, people think that you need to have it all together. But for me, I was at such a low point where I didn't want to live anymore. I was on antidepressants. I was massively hooked on cannabis. I smoked it for many, 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 many years. For some people, it's okay. For me, it's not okay. It had massive anxiety attacks, paranoia, increased depression. And then I'll be out drinking, using other substances on a weekend with my friends, thinking it was just okay. Um, and then I lost my job. COVID hit. I lost all of the clients that I had from my social media business, because they were all brick and mortar businesses, dentists, hair salons, and yeah, and I just started spiraling down. I got locked in we was all locked up together. So I was doing that from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. Um, and I was still listening to these motivational speeches, thinking I had it all sorted out, and I didn't. And do you know what my biggest turning factor was? Right, was actually being able to say that I have a problem, because unless you admit that there is a problem and you know that there is, and if you don't know that there is a problem, sorry, you're never going to fix it. So if you don't think you have an issue with something, then you're never going to be able to sort it out. But for me, it really came down to, looking at myself in the mirror and just thinking, right, no, you're actually fucked. Like, you're not doing nothing what you say you're doing. I took a hard look at myself and I was harsh. You know, you're not getting up on time every day. You're not doing what you're preaching to these people, about social media, and you're this guy and you know this and you're super motivated. You're not doing this. You're not doing this, right? And you do have a problem with these drugs. So I went and sought help. Like, I asked for help, which for me was really hard. Like, I came from a background where, if I come home from school and I'd lost a fight, I would get a clout or a slap. Go back, you better sort that out. Or if I was upset about something, it'd be like, yeah, just deal with it. Deal with it. You're a man, man up. So I'd come from that background. Plus, there's a lot of women in my family. So I would normally deal with all of their problems. So for me to actually say, yeah, look, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm lost. I'm struggling. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. Because no one knew. Like, I just kept all of this stuff to myself. I didn't tell anyone about the drugs I was doing. I just went to the doctors and said I'm depressed. Like, I didn't tell him that all of the stuff that I was doing. You know, I wanted a quick solution. I never wanted to look at myself in a mirror and say I'm the problem. And this is what a lot of people don't do. They're quick to blame everyone else, but really, you're the problem most of the time. You know, I could name off so many excuses. Right, I watched my mum get physically abused when I was young by my dad. Used to beat her up in and out of hospitals. My dad's never been in my life since I was about 5 years old. She then got married to my stepdad, who they're divorced now, with my youngest brother. We have different fathers. He beat her up as well, and I went through all of that. We was homeless. We moved to the other end of the country because my mum was so scared at what this man was doing to her. I lost all my friends, all my family. Um, my mum wasn't one of them people that sat down with me and said, "What do you want out of life?" And I don't hate her for that, because her job was to bring up three boys on her own and make sure there was enough food on the table. And my mum struggled massively, but she still managed to give us what we needed. So there's enough excuses for me to say, "Oh, I'm the way that I am because of this." But at the end of the day, it's not about what happens to you. It's about how you react to what happens to you. And that's what I think the determining factor is. And when I was in that depression, I just chose, "Oh, look, I'm here now. Doesn't matter about this. Doesn't matter about this. I need help because I need to get to where I want to be." And that's what I've done. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that definitely answers my question, because I mean, a lot of us go through things, right? And we don't understand that we are sometimes the deciding factor. We can choose to live in our past, or we can choose to actually take responsibility for ourselves right now, which I think is what you did, when you realized that you have to look in the mirror for yourself first and then evolve out of that. Yes, life dealt you such a terrible hand, but I think that you being able to take responsibility for that just says a lot about who you are as a person, because it means that if you are able to take responsibility for who you are able to take responsibility for someone else, because you understand the trauma, the troubles, and everything that you have to go through to get to a point where you're actually comfortable as a person, right? And I truly believe what you said, that you cannot look outside of yourself. And I believe that because we are all perceivers of our world. I perceive my world differently. You perceive your world differently. So, and based on that perception is how we approach everything, right? If I come to you and I'm just this happy, bubbly person, you're going to think, what's wrong with her? You know, she hasn't been through anything in life. She is just happy, just going about life. She hasn't seen the depths of life. And then you have seen the depths of life. And then maybe you're not a happy, bubbly person. You're more skeptical about how you interact with people, which is absolutely fine. All right. So, how did that motivate you? I know you came out of so much trauma, watching your mother, having to take responsibility for your sisters. How does that apply to your business venture now? What is it about your life in the past that you're able to apply to your business right now?
Yeah, like I said, um, most people in their businesses, right? They don't they don't have a business problem. They got a personal problem in their business. So if you are not where you need to be, your business is never going to be where you need to be, right? Because it stops at the founder, right? It stops at the founder. Whether that's how you want to grow or whether that's what your ethics are, all starts and stops with the founder of the business, no matter what. And you know, the same way that I operate my business is how I operate my life, right? In business you get ups and downs. We try to have more ups than downs, of course, uh, and so do you in life, right? You also get curveballs, things that you never expected to happen, right? Family members die, clients just drop out and they disappear, businesses close, right? So it's all about staying focused and being able to at any moment in time um, become the person. At any moment in time to make a defining decision to change the direction of your business and the direction of your life, right? And what I mean by that is, if I'm going down the road today, yeah, and then I get the phone call that my partner has died, right? I need to be My mindset needs to be at a level where I can deal with that and I don't go break down and kill myself. All right. Same as in your business, yeah. If you have loads of customers, right, but one customer is all of your revenue, okay, and that person just decided to go somewhere else, you need to have that mindset that it doesn't matter, right? Because life still goes on, life still happens to you no matter what, right? You still got to operate that business, you still got to live your life because life keeps happening, and I think it's just a resilience, you know, being able to just be resilient. Like no matter what happens to me, I know what I'm doing. I don't care what anyone says to me. I really don't. You'll be surprised, right? Last year, I before I come to the business that I've been working at now, so I've had my own. I was doing funding for a while, but I've only had my own business independently since October last year, so not very long, right? But the company I worked for before, I worked for them for 6 months, no, 8 months, and they screwed me over every single penny. I lost about 500k that they owed me, and they disappeared. I don't know where they are. They moved address and everything. They funneled out loads of money, right? And I could have just rolled over there and been like, right, I'm done. I sold my SMMA business, money that I had, went into the funding to fund myself throughout that time, and then I went and set up another business because when I sorry, I'm getting confused. When I then left that company that fucked me over, and then I went to the bank, what allowed me to bridge from getting fucked over, all of that life changing money, to just carrying on, right? Because it was never about that company that I was working for, right? And it was never about the bank that I'm working for now. It's about me knowing where I want to go, and I don't care who is in my way. I'm going there, right? I could have easily rolled over when they done me out all of that money, and I could have easily gone back to another job. I could have picked up a 9 to 5 job just like that. I could have been comfortable, but no, I didn't want to do that. And even transition into that, do you know how many people told me I was stupid? How many people still tell me today, even when I've got projects coming in and I'm funding them, that I'm still stupid. Oh, it's not going to work. Oh, you're not going to be this. You're not going to be this. right? I don't care what they say. I really don't, because they are not in my community. They are around me, but they're not in my community, right? I would advise anyone, and this is a tip for listeners or whoever listens to this podcast, write down the names of people in your family, in your business, friendship, partners, every single person that you speak to and you communicate to on a daily and weekly basis, right? And color code them. Put red against the people that are always bringing you down and never believe in you and always tell you that it's not going to work, and this negative comment and this negative comment. Put a red mark against all those people's name. Put an orange mark against people that don't put you down, but they're no good for you, right? They're always asking you to come out on a sesh on the weekend, or they're saying, "Oh no, don't worry about that. You can drop that out today. You can do this." Right? So there's the sort of bad people, but they don't really lift you up, but they don't really bring you down, right? Put orange mark against them people. Then the people that do lift you up, right? They encourage you, they pour into you, they hold you accountable. Put a green mark against them people's name. And that's where you want to start with people in your life. And what's allowed me to get to where I've got is I've cut the people out that are no good for me. And that is one big factor. I've got big groups of friends. They love to go out. They love to live by their paycheck each month. They love to go Ibiza, partying, but they're happy doing that. I'm not happy doing that, so they need to go. And at the start, it's hard. It is hard to let them go, because what you don't understand. You're transitioning from a whole different person, right, to where you need to go to get your business to a success, to where you are now. It's a whole different person. Nothing of that old person can remain. Nothing, because that is a weakness, and that will be sussed out. If you want to be this, life changing, world changing person, you want to leave a legacy, that's the person you need to become. And if them people are not bringing you up, they're bringing you down. They've got to go. I've rambled on a little bit there, but yeah, I'm just really passionate about that, and I think people really don't look at the closest people that they're around too much, especially that color coding system. And if you do that, it will really, because it's on paper, right? And it will really allow you to look and just go, oh right, like these people ain't actually really good for me, and I need to change this. And then you start putting yourself around people that are more green lights, you know, and then those people are just going to add to you, and they're just going to help you, and they're going to lift you up, because it's hard enough trying to run a business, let alone trying to run a business and have negative people around you. It's just impossible to do.
Yep. You're right, because people fail to understand that the people around you actually feed you. Like on my podcast on YouTube, the episode for this week was actually auto suggestion, by Emilia Quay, the book by Emilia Quay called Auto Suggestion, where he says the people around you will suggest things to you, and you will eventually have to, when they suggest it to you unconsciously, you will suggest it to yourself. So you auto suggest it to yourself, and you become what your subconscious is telling you. So the people around you that are definitely no good need to go. So I know that we scheduled this podcast for only 30 minutes, and I really do appreciate your time, because I know you have to go somewhere else. But what would you say to people that are afraid to take the leap of faith, to just start a business? Just do it now. Start now.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's fine. I've booked you out for an hour, lucky enough. But I'm sure everyone don't want to hear me keep rambling on. Do you want the long or the short answer?
I'll take the whichever one you want.
I mean, well, look, the short answer is just do it. Like, we discussed this before we was on the call, right? And everyone's like, oh yeah, well, just do it. That's not enough information to go on, right? But you know, you can sit there for so long, right? Planning about how you're going to do this, right? A business plan is important. You need a business plan. If you don't have a business plan, right, that's basically like being captain of the ship. You're Jack Sparrow, captain of the ship in the middle of the ocean, right? And you've got no destination. So what are you going to do? You're just going to float around the ocean, not knowing where the hell you're going, right? It's just the same if you're driving a car. You could have Rolls Royce, you could have any supercar, you could have the best driver, but if you don't know where you're going, you're aimless. You're just going to be, peeing in the wind, as they say. Um, but you know, what I would really say to anyone is what most people don't tell you, right? Which is sit down with yourself, right? No distractions, no TV, no Netflix, no Instagram, no phone, just yourself, right? You and your voice in your head, which a lot of people go so far away from nowadays. And look within, not externally, right? And start writing down, what do you actually want out of life? What do you actually want? And I don't mean, what you want, what car do you want? What house do you want? Right? When you die, right? And say, for example, for me, this is my fear, right? If I die and then I go up to heaven or wherever it is, and then there's this person in front of me, and then they show me my life and what I could have been, right? That is my biggest fear, right? So you need to sit down with yourself and actually think, right, what do I want out of life? What do I want? You know, and then if you want to be a dentist, go be a dentist. If you want to run a multi-million-pound email marketing campaign software, be that. If you want to be a pro footballer, go be a pro footballer. But it all starts with what you want to do. And most people won't sit down and write out what they want to do. And when you figure out what you want to do, you need to tie it to something of why you want to do it. And at the end of the day, we all say, yeah, we want money, we want this, but what do we really want? We want happiness, right? We all want to be happy. You know, I want money, but what I want for the money isn't for me. What makes me happier is being able to pay for my nan and granddad, who's helped me out for years, to go on a luxury holiday, and to see their face of me doing it, and for them to be proud of me, right? And for me to, pay for my mum's mortgage so she doesn't have to worry about that, you know? For me, it's not really about the money, it's about what I can do with it and how I can change people's lives. And it has to be tied to something so emotional, because if it's just tied to money, you're never ever going to get there. So, sit down with yourself, find out what you want to be when you get older. Actually see it, see yourself doing it. Don't do law of attraction. Oh, please give me a car, please give me a yacht. That stuff doesn't work, right? You need to see yourself actually doing it. Feel yourself doing it. Write where you want to go, get a business plan, okay, and then reverse engineer that business plan. Right, if you want to get 1,000 customers paying you £100 a month, figure out how many calls you've got to make or how many meetings you've got to set to get one client, and then work back from it and add it to your daily tasks. If you do that, stay true, plug in with people that are, kind, loving, supportive. Come on, Clubhouse is amazing. Go on Clubhouse, YouTube, read a book. So many people don't read books. There's books out there. Anything you want to do or anything you want to become, someone's already done it. Just go read a book. you know get up early. They say the early bird catches the worm. Get up early. Do your affirmations. For me, I meditate every single day. I mean, I've got a screw loose anyway, as you could probably tell, because I keep rambling on. But if I didn't meditate, I would nowhere near be focused. I'd be forgetting things. I wouldn't be able to deal with certain people with humility, because look, we all get wound up sometimes, and some people annoy us. But for me, that's what works for me. It may not work for you, but it works for me. Um, Look, I hope that's enough for you and your listeners, Aisha. I really appreciate giving me the time to come on here. And look, if there's anything else I can add to the conversation, yeah, please let me know.
No, that's thank you so much, Omar.